Multiple areas to watch for the possibility of some development. I want to look ahead as we get later into May and into June, the hurricane season. And again, welcome to all the new subscribers. I do this channel for safety, so thank you for being part of this weather community as we go through the hurricane season. We've had some heavy rain in spots as we've been talking about together. You see some areas of rain near Central America, the Eastern Caribbean. We've seen some of our rain going up. There's some of that rain that's been leaving parts of the Bahamas and Florida. Very active, but I want to get into some particular areas to watch for some development as we go forward. Right now, here's some of that rain back through parts of El Salvador, down through Costa Rica, and other areas have been seeing some of the rain. We get back towards St. Kitts and Nevis yesterday. We've had some rain. Some of our islands are getting nothing, others getting dumped on. So thank you for putting your comments in there on where you're kind of getting some of the rain. Overnight and this morning, I've been watching near Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia. We've had some of the rain. St. Lucia, some of it's been heavy. Watching out for the mudslide potential that will be building right on the edge of St. Vincent the Grenadines and Barbados. We've had some rain that's been nearby, and all of us are going to see a bigger surge of rain that will be coming in. Now, a spot I'm going to watch for the possibility of some tropical development later this month will be the Western Caribbean. So here's Jamaica. Cayman Islands here will be somewhere in here. I'm not saying there's definitely going to be development, but it's just a spot we'll watch together. Conditions here are more conducive for some tropical development, so I do want to take you out in time with that. But let me show you some of the environmental conditions. Water temperatures clearly warm enough for tropical development, really starting to warm in the Western Caribbean, 29, almost 30 degrees Celsius. Eastern Pacific, that's where there could also be a little development. Water temperatures even warmer. That's why the hurricane season starts earlier. It starts tomorrow in the Eastern Pacific. Water temperatures are usually warmer. So water temps warm enough for tropical development. Fortunately, in the Eastern Caribbean, above our heads though, it's kind of hostile up there, which is good because as the rain builds for us in the Eastern Caribbean, I don't expect a lot of development in this area because again, the winds above our heads are hostile. That's a good thing. So there's a lot of wind shear. Now, short term, watching out for scattered rain, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. And again, hit or miss, just depends on is a kind of island by island. Some of us will get some rain, some of us won't. That's going to be the pattern, but then it's going to build and become more widespread. So let's go well out in time. This is tomorrow. So as we work our way into our Thursday, you see some of the areas of rain, hit or miss, Eastern Caribbean, Guyana and Suriname, still watching out for some flooding, watching out for the additional rain, parts of the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Puerto Rico. It's going to be building, still Costa Rica, Panama. This is by Friday. Now Friday, you see the rain increasing. British, U.S. Virgin Islands, near Anguilla, some of that rain. St. Kitts and Nevis, Sebastian, that rain building once again over toward Montserrat. And this here is on Saturday, so you see it. Now what's happening is, and I'll widen out the view in a second, there's a front up toward Bermuda. It's drawing in the moisture. That weather really tied together on a global scale. And look at that, just rounds of rain. This is by Sunday, and that's why I mentioned in the Eastern Caribbean, our rain chance is shooting up from Trinidad all the way north through Antigua, Barbuda, back through Puerto Rico. Still scattered areas of rain, Jamaica, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic. But you see it there. That's why I'm concerned about flooding. Yes, our cisterns get full, which is good, but flooding and mudslides will be a potential even as we get deeper into next week. This now is going out in time, so we're about a week from now. You see by Thursday of next week, that higher chance of rain still with us. But this spot in the Western Caribbean, I'm going to start to watch this as we get into late in the month. So this is going way out in time here, May 23rd, May 24th. You see here, just going out in time further. Let me stop it here. This is by May 25th. Still some scattered areas of rain across the Caribbean as we work our way into the wet season. But look at this spot here. Here's Jamaica, just south. Here's Belize, Honduras, Nicaragua. This area here is going to build with rain. Now, not necessarily development, but a lot of rain building it here, so that does grab my attention. I showed you the water temperatures, and above our heads, the winds are not as hostile. That may allow the thunderstorms to build up a little bit more so. So some development will be possible in here. This is by May 27th, so going out in time, a week to about 2 weeks out in time. The Western Caribbean, near Central America, near Jamaica, Cayman Islands. Again, just a spot to monitor together. I will keep you updated on this. Sometimes you get a little sneaky tropical storm trying to develop this time of year, feeding off the warm water temperatures. That's what we'll be watching together, video by video, day by day. And you see it here. Here's the European model. I was just showing you the American model. This is the European model, and this is late in May. And look at this spot here. Here's Jamaica, Cuba right here. This green shading, even the European model saying, hey, there's a slight chance of development. It's bumped up a little bit, 40 to 50% chance of something trying to spin up. So nothing crazy at all. It's not a likelihood that something's going to develop, just a small possibility, and we will watch that together. But both of the models are picking up on the possibility of some development, and that does go kind of coincide with what we're seeing with the May outlook. I mentioned May is going to be wetter, and we're now starting to see it. I mentioned it wasn't going to be early May. It was going to be mainly mid to late May. And I just showed you all that rain that's coming our way. This was the outlook I showed you a couple months ago. And you see the rain here where you see the green and the blue. That's above average rain. And that's going to pan out throughout much of the Caribbean over the next few weeks, but especially in the Western Caribbean. And that's why, one of the reasons why we could see a little development. Of course, you need some rain for something to develop. We're going to have that in the Western Caribbean. We'll be watching out for that. Now, the first name on the list on the Atlantic side, the Atlantic includes the Atlantic, the Gulf, and the Caribbean, is Andrea, then Barry, then Chantal, Dexter, as we get down the list. Hopefully we don't have too many named storms this year, or at least hopefully they're not strong. As we get into the Eastern Pacific side, a different set of names. Alvin is the first name. So if you hear an A name, we need to check which one it is. Alvin's on the Eastern Pacific side, then Barbara after that. So different basins around the world have different names, a different grouping of names. Now, this is back to today. And you see here, I mentioned that area rolling off the coast of the United States near Bermuda. Chance of rain starts to go up, clipping us by Atlantic region of Canada with some showers. But watch this here in Bermuda. As this moves to the east, look at that. It draws in the moisture. That's why that rain chance is going to be increasing. Meanwhile, the Midwest of the United States, for several days, there's going to be a severe weather threat. Tornadoes in this area will be possible. Flooding will be a possibility. But then you see that surge of moisture from the Caribbean lifting to the east of Bermuda. And there's some of the weather that will be working its way toward New England and parts of Quebec and Ontario as we work our way into Saturday. But there's that moisture feed because of the front way up here. That's going to draw on that moisture for us across the Eastern Caribbean. Now, watching the seas around the Bahamas, Florida, not too bad. Little bit choppier as we work our way back through the Caribbean. But with that said, it's the Atlantic passageways that are going to be on the elevated side. So heads up across our islands to the east as we work our way into the Atlantic. The seas will be choppier to rougher. This right here is right through the weekend. You see much of the Gulf and the Caribbean were okay, but this spot here of those brighter colors, that's where we're going to have the elevated seas. So the rain cutting off in Florida, for example, and it's about to cut off in the Bahamas. It's about to cut off in parts of Cuba, and that means it is going to get super hot. Temperatures are going to be climbing right through the weekend. But in the meantime, parts of Cuba and the Bahamas, we still have a chance of a couple scattered areas of rain around, especially the northern Bahamas. But as we work our way through here, you can see that rain chance going up. Hit or miss for us in Jamaica. We'll get some scattered storms around. Cayman Islands, we may get one or two. Parts of eastern Cuba, but watching Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, British and U.S. Virgin Islands, swinging back toward the northeastern Caribbean, pretty much all of us, we need to watch out for flooding. I showed you the rain on the way. It'll be rounds of rain later this week, this weekend, into next week. So just the next 3 days, we could see some totals. Now, this may be over here, this may be over here, but some totals could be around 100 to 150 millimeters of rain. So that's going to be too much too quickly for a lot of us. We need to watch out for the mudslides, and we're going to see the rain building. Dominica, south through Trinidad. Not quite yet, but it's going to really be picking up later this week, this weekend in particular, into next week. And again, we need to watch out for some of those higher totals. Still watching out for some of the flooding, possible parts of Guyana and Suriname, as we well know, and Costa Rica, Panama, back through Colombia and Venezuela. A little bit more in the way of hit or miss, but Guatemala and El Salvador, that rain chance still stays on the elevated side. Not as much as we get through much of Mexico and then back through Texas and the southeast U.S. You see it right here drying out, but as we dry out, we really heat up. So some scattered storms possible for us in Jamaica, about a 50% chance the next couple days. Only an isolated chance today. Cayman Islands, we're looking at a 30% chance, but you see it starting to build in Trinidad. For us, we're going to have a 50% chance by Friday, but more by the weekend into next week. Barbados, as I mentioned, we have some of that rain that's nearby already, so we'll see if some of that squeaks in. St. Lucia, a lot of us have already had the rain. Today, we still have the chance of rain, about a 50 to 60% chance of rain, and in St. Lucia, monitoring the mudslide threat that is a potential. Grenada, we have a 50% chance of rain today and still a 50% chance of scattered showers and storms. St. Vincent, the Grenadines, especially northern islands. 40 to 50% chance of Martinique. Some of that rain's nearby now. Same thing in Dominica. We'll monitor any mudslides that will be possible. I'll be watching your comments. Guadeloupe, some showers around. That'll be a possibility. Swing back through Antigua and Barbuda, we're looking at about a 40% chance. And a 40% chance holds St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat. We may get a dry day or we may get a day where we get dumped on. We've seen that over the last couple days. Now, in Anguilla and St. Bart's, by Friday, the rain chance starts to go up. 30% chance today, St. Martin, Save and Statia. By the weekend, it will get higher. And then you see back through Puerto Rico, look at Friday up to a 70% chance of rain. Flooding a concern. Some power outages will be possible in Puerto Rico and the British and U.S. Virgin Islands by the end of the week. On Friday, we're up to about a 70% chance of rain. So this is your heads up. So thank you for sharing this information. Bahamas, northern Bahamas, chance of some rain today, but even building a little bit on Friday by the Turks and Caicos, up to about a 40% chance. The Dominican Republic, heads up. The rivers are going to get dangerous later this week. Rain chance going up late week into the weekend. Same thing in Haiti. We need to watch out for some of those scattered showers and thunderstorms that will be around. Belize, our rain chance is not super high. Stays on the low side, at least temporarily. Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. By the weekend and next week, rain chance will be a little bit higher with that moisture feed. Of course, in Guyana and Suriname, that rain chance staying on the higher side, still monitoring some of the flooding. Isolated showers and storms across Cuba, not too high, 60 to 70, even 80% chance in parts of Costa Rica and Panama. 40 to 50% chance in Nicaragua. Honduras, though, our rain chance is not super high, but we swing back toward Guatemala and El Salvador. There's that 60% chance of rain. Meanwhile, Mexico City, the next couple days are on the dry side. Yucatan Peninsula, mainly dry as well. 50 to 60% chance of rain. Northern Colombia, the more south you go in Colombia, the better chance of flooding. 30 to 40% chance in northern Venezuela. And watching those areas of rain, that'll start to move closer in Bermuda, especially by late today and again tonight into tomorrow. So heavy areas of rain coming. The flood threat, the mudslides, only the threat of that only increases as we go over the next week or so, and then eventually tropical waves start to move in. That's some of that moisture out in the Atlantic that'll start to march our way. So we'll monitor for any signs of development. Still monitoring the earthquake activity, and we're now just 18 days away from the start of hurricane season. Thank you for being with me, and have a really good day ahead.